Happy Sunday, guys. I hope you're all doing well. This is Jifa. I hope you're fine. I know I was supposed to do a Facebook Live video, but I think for my first couple of videos, I'll just do a pre-recorded video just because I'm not used to the live world just yet. So anyway, we're living through a pandemic. Our mental, emotional, psychological, physical health is really, really important. So every day, take about 3 to 2 minutes to yourself. Just breathe in, relax, and count all the things that are going well in your life and be grateful. Gratitude has a way of freeing all of us from our stress and our worries, and it's worked for me as well. Later on in the year, I'll share a lot of stories about healing psychologically, healing emotionally, and just being whole again. But today we're going to talk about my journey back to Ghana. This happened 6 years ago. I was 22. I had just finished uni and I decided to spend a gap year in Ghana. I did not plan on moving here, but I just wanted to know what life would be like if I decided to spend a year here. And I was not afraid. I know a lot of people in the diaspora are worried that you're going to a place you've not been to since you were a child. You don't have any friends there. You don't have any networks there. What exactly are you coming back to do? And I had some of these fears. Thankfully, at that time, I was so young that I didn't have the kind of things that will prevent me from making such a move today. For instance, right now I have my own apartment. I have certain responsibilities. Even though I don't have kids, I don't even have a dog yet. But if I were to move now, I would have to consider a lot of things. But at 22, worst case scenario would be to raise funds to go back to the US. So I really didn't have anything to lose. And I should tell you that summer 2013 was very crucial to my move because I had gone to DC as a junior uni student to do a fellowship. Now, that year was the year that Trayvon Martin died. So a lot of students at George Washington University, a lot of students at Howard University were organizing marches. I was staying at George Washington University. So we didn't really see what was happening until we went to that side of town where Howard University was. And then Fruitvale Station came out. So my friends and I went to watch Fruitvale Station. And as I watched what happened to Oscar Grant, and if you've never seen Fruitvale Station before, please watch it. I think it's free on YouTube right now. As I was watching the Oscar Grant story, I pictured the young boys in my neighborhood who people might think are just potheads smoking weed all day long, but are super helpful. Every time I come from the grocery store and I'm holding a lot of shopping bags, they will literally help me get the shopping bags home. If I travel somewhere and I come back and the elevator is broken, for instance, they'll offer to help me take my elevator to the 5th floor. So to other people, they may be jailbirds, but to me, they were really genuine people. And there were older people in my community who would walk up to me since I was in middle school and say, Jifa, we're so proud of you, keep going, stay in school. It was as though they felt stuck in their various neighborhoods. They could still see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel because there's this young girl who, in spite of all the problems that were happening, was still going to school, was still doing the right thing, and my win meant a win for the entire community. So I pictured these guys and I'm like, if anyone kills them just for the color of their skin, I just couldn't imagine because they were beyond just, whatever. So there was no excuse to take another person's life. And at that time too, I began to see that the Hispanic community was a bit more organized than the African community. For instance, the Hispanics who were legal immigrants in the US would advocate for better community service for their community and even for people who were illegal immigrants. I was not seeing that within the African community. At that time, Amaha had just started the African Communities Together. And even at that time, when he came to us at Yankee Stadium, I didn't understand. Actually, I think we were at 161 Stadium, and he came to us to tell us what he was doing. I didn't understand it because we didn't have a lot of organizations serving the interest of the African community. So I asked myself a very important question. Okay, you're about to graduate from uni in a year. Are you going to stay here in this country where a lot of Ghanaians treat as if it's not their home, so they just bow their heads and get their jobs done and build their big mansion back home and don't really claim ownership of anything? Or are you going to accept the fact that you are, a human being in this country, you are entitled to certain rights, and you have every right to ask for those rights that you feel will benefit you and your community? But then I also had a part of me that was curious about the Ghana that I left behind at 11 years old. What had become of that country? Thankfully, there were a lot of stories about Africa rising, young entrepreneurs doing really great work that inspired me that, okay, maybe if I come back to this country, I might discover something that will help me really discover my purpose in this world and what I want to do with my life post-uni. Again, this was summer 2013. I just entertained the idea. I didn't actually think it was going to happen. So I just went about my life. I went about senior year, graduating well. And then summer 2014 is when I actually decided that I'm going to come back home. So in 2013, the problems happening in the US, the racial issues, I participated in a few marches that really helped me understand the struggles that African Americans were facing through their perspective, because as an African immigrant, my experience is completely different from someone who has no other home to go back to the way I have Ghana to go back to. So I was able to empathize, and I was also able to see my own privileges, that I don't have to necessarily be stuck when I'm curious about what's going on in another part of the world. I can just hop on the plane, go there and experience it for myself. Again, at 22, I was not married. I didn't have any kids. I didn't have any student loans. I didn't have any credit card debt. So I could afford to just move. And another thing is, I'm a minimalist, so I can survive in any environment. I'm not high maintenance at all. I can live in a village. So it was just a matter of making that decision. And I will not say that it was easy. It wasn't. But knowing people like Wetakusi who had already made the move made it easier for me, because I'm like, okay, if I know someone who's made the move, that it's not that difficult. And I also, in 2014, when I finally decided I was going to make the move, I actually bought a 1-year ticket, because I knew that if I had just bought like a 3-month or just a one-way ticket, it'll be easy for me to want to come back. So those are some of the things I did. If you guys have any questions you would want me to address specifically in my next video, just comment down below. And then in the next video, I'll address all the specific questions. But these are my own unique experiences. I was going through my mind at, actually, I was 21 then in 2013, when I decided that I was going to make this temporary gap year thing happen after I graduate from uni. And the gap year has now turned into almost 6 years in October. I've been blessed. I've been fortunate. A lot of things would have gone south. So tips to decide if moving is right for you or not. Number one, what's your current state like? Do you have anything to lose? If you don't have much to lose, go for it, because you can always come back to the US if you're a green card holder or you're a citizen. You're really not losing anything. You have so much to gain that you don't even know yet until you make that move. 2, be sincere with yourself. If you're someone who can't live in a place with, electricity issues, water issues, traffic, just general things. If you're someone who has very expensive taste buds and can't live on a budget, maybe packing up and moving abroad might not be for you. So it has to be an inside job so that when the challenges come, and they will, you will still have this bigger reason, bigger purpose for wanting to continue with the journey. There's something that you're searching for. And I've been on this path of discovering my identity since high school. I mean, I read Letters to a Young Brother by Harper Lee. I read, Think Big, Ben Carson. I don't like him, but at the time, the book was very helpful. Autobiography of Malcolm X, Congo My Country, Patrice. I read a few books by Frantz Fanon, Wretch of the Earth, Black Skin, White Mask. I read a lot of Osman Sembe's books just to find a way to, deal with questions surrounding my identity as a Black woman, as an African woman, as a Ghanaian. And although most of these books I've mentioned are actually authored by men, Mariama Ba's book was helpful for me. Wangari Maathai's books helped me. I genuinely find more solace in books than conversations. So whatever it is that works for you, once you are sincere that you're on a journey of discovery and you just want to find out what's at the other side of the world, just have faith and believe that you're gonna be fine. Because worst case scenario, you can always come back and you have nothing to lose.